Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer number BB5010-456-652. This is a ball bearing, 5-knuckle, full mortise, wide throw, steel-based hinge, removable pin, satin chrome finish. And this hinge is a very common hinge, but let's dissect that giant description part number. First of all, BB stands for ball bearing, and the 5010 means a number of things. First of all, let's see if we can remember everything that it means. It means it's a full mortise hinge, that when the leaves are brought, you can see from the swag on the hinge leaves there, that when they're brought parallel, they're meant to be mortised flush to the edge of the door and frame. It means it's a 5-knuckle hinge. The BB part means ball bearing, and on a standard weight hinge, which is also inferred in this part number, 134 thousandths of an inch leaf thickness, there are 2 bearing packets. This also means that it is a steel-based hinge. This hinge is made of steel. The 10, the 1 in the part number, means it's a it means it's a wide throw hinge. It means that the hinge is wider than it is tall, is what that means. Let's continue on with the part number. We'll back up if I've missed something. 456 is a reference to the size. That means it's 4.5 inches tall and 6 inches wide. And the height is always the first dimension on most hinges. Opposite of how doors work. Really critical to call it 4.5 by 6, not 6 by 4.5. That would be a very different hinge. 652 means 2 things. It means, again, it's steel. Also means it's satin chrome. So it's a satin chrome plating on steel. All right. Now, there is a link below this video to what's called the cut sheet. And that is a very handy document because it allows you to view this in comparison to many similar items from Bommer. First of all, you can see that in the lower left-hand corner, there is a column, steel hinges. 5,000 is the first part number, and then below it 5010. You can see in the row of 5,000 that it only refers to non-wide throw hinges. When you get into a hinge that is wider than it is tall, that number becomes 10 and not 00. Below that, 8,000 and 8010. Same arrangement, except that rather than being 5-knuckle, it's a 3-knuckle hinge. BB, below that, ball bearing. Okay, if you had the part number 5010, be the same hinge, no ball bearings. You're going to want ball bearings if you've got a reasonably heavy door or a door that's going to get a reasonable amount of use, volume, or if you have a fire-rated door, you're going to need ball bearings. Ball bearing is always a good idea. I can't think of a reason not to have it other than a client saying, I'm never going to open this door, give me the least expensive hinge you've got. Then that would be possibly a reason not to have ball bearing. Below that you've got LB 8000 and LB 8010. Ball bearing, 3-knuckle, but the LB stands for lube bearing rather than ball bearing. Lube bearing being a maintenance-free concealed sort of bearing construction from Bommer. Next column over, you can see that last digit changes to a 1. All that means is that the base material is changed from steel to brass or bronze, depending on the finish. If you're doing oil rub bronze, it'd be a bronze base material. If you were doing polished brass, it'd be a brass base material. The next column over gives you a 2. That means it's stainless steel, a typical hinge that you're going to have when you're doing exterior doors on a coastal area or where the client must have stainless steel for the aesthetics of it, because while this is certainly very similar to stainless steel, it is not exactly stainless steel naturally, although it's extremely close. Above there is a dimensional drawing showing everything important about the location of the screw holes that may be important to you to be able to determine that. Or where this is drilled at. This would be called template pattern. Industry standard template pattern is what this would be considered. But those locations are drawn there. And speaking of those screws, they're included. You're generally going to get all metal and half wood on a hinge like this. But in this case, you're getting all wood and all metal. But generally, it's just half wood screws and all metal. The question also is, where are these hinges used? Well, a wide throw hinge is generally used when you have a wall condition that prevents the door from opening up to a 90-degree condition, which is generally not a problem, but getting it open past 90 degrees could be a problem. So let's imagine that you have a hollow metal frame that is installed in a masonry construction wall, and the door, let's say that the wall is face brick and block, so it's, let's say it's about 11 inches thick. Got a 5 3/4 frame. It's kicked back a little bit to the point where getting the door out to about 110 degree, the door will start to actually make contact with the face brick, and that's a problem. Wind might catch it, slam it back, and destroy the door and the brick. You might need to get the door open because of the condition outside of the door, back against the wall, and this would be a situation that would allow you to do that. A 6-inch hinge is going to give you an additional 3/4 inch offset. When you open that up, you're going to get a lot more clearance out of it than a standard 4.5 by 4.5, if that's what we're comparing it to. Okay. You might also have a condition, much less common, but you might have a wood door and a wood frame. You might have an 18-inch deep wood frame, and you might set your doors much deeper into the frame than standard. The reveal of a door, when you run your hand over the face of the door in the frame, is generally about 1/8 of an inch. It's a little bit less, but imagine if that 1/8 of an inch was 1 inch. I've seen homes that were from the 19th century. The first floor, because it's a 3-story house, those first floor wall thicknesses are incredibly thick. Actually, the original Capitol building in the state of Iowa has this as well. Very thick walls on the first floor and the second floor as well. Very deep frames, and those doors are set way into the center of the openings. All those hinges are wide throw hinges. And if you're thinking wide throw hinges, you might need extended lip strike plates as well. People will also use these, not necessarily 4.5, but you might have windows that are tiny little double doors, let's say, and they need to get them open up back around the face of the wall so that they can use their shutter bar hardware and lock them to the face of the wall. The last thing I'd like to point out to you is the Bommer logo. Right above it, it says Made in USA, a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I to represent them. Any questions on the Bommer number BB5010-456-652 hinge or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. There are options available with this sort of hinge as well. First of all, decorative tips. That's what's called a button tip. If you use your imagination, that's what it looks like. Ball tip, which is the most common, urn tip, steeple tip, acorn tip. There's options regarding radiused corners. This is obviously square corner, 1/4 inch, 5/8 radius. Very uncommon, but people have ordered them. You can get security pin options. You can get a non-removable pin, so that if this was the exterior, that non-removable pin, once this hinge pin is set and the set screw is tightened on the non-removable pin, it makes it all but impossible to drive that out. Other security options like studs, electrifying this if you had to transfer power from the wall to the door, etc. Any questions on this or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.